Welcome to the Face to Face. I'm your host, Genevieve Kyle-Lefebvre. Face to Face is a bilingual series of video recorded here in Coquitlam. We acknowledge that Coquitlam is located on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Coquitlam. We thank the Coquitlam people who continue to live on these lands and cares for them, along with the waters and all that is above and below. Today on the Face to Face, I am with Leah Coss, co-founder and president of Biz Kids. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you so much.
So tell me, what is Biz Kids? Built a Biz Kids, lots of B's, right?
You can call us Biz Kids for sure.
Oh, Biz Kids, yes,
yeah,
okay.
For sure. So Build Biz Kids, we're a registered Canadian charity. We've got a twofold purpose. On the surface, people see us for our entrepreneur programs, our future readiness programs like public speaking, digital and financial literacy. But ultimately, what we're doing is we're through these real world experiences, kids creating businesses, building online stores, delivering TED Talks, we call them Kid Talks.
Oh,
They're getting
yeah.
this real world experience, but it's actually flexing all of those human essential soft skills. And
Yeah.
the ones that we really try to hone in on are things like resiliency, confidence, building their self-identity, decision-making, communication, empathy, and there's like 70 of them. So the second part of what we're really trying to accomplish is our age group is deliberately very young, 7 to about 14 years of age. And that's because we want them to build their healthy self-identity, their self-worth, and build it up as much as possible before they hit teenage years. Because right now the mental health crisis for youth under 25 is extraordinarily high. And it's actually the highest out of any age group. And at this stage, there's not enough resources to help with the intervention, to help those already not only impacted, but asking, the ones who aren't asking. And so for us, we take a prevention over intervention approach. And so through these real world experiences, we're creating these healthy, happy kids who are confident in themselves and therefore preventing future mental health challenges, or at the very least, giving them the tools to be able to sort through the future difficulties.
Wow. Okay. So what are the programs you're offering?
So right now we've got our flagship Kid Entrepreneur Program. That's one that everybody knows us for, but we've actually really grown our collection. So we've got our Kid Talks public speaking. It's all about helping kids tell stories and become persuasive individuals to compel people to take action on things that really matter to them, whether that be the environment or social media or bullying. And there's so many incredible topics kids take on. Then we've got our 2 digital literacy programs, Build an Online Business, and then our newest one is our Kids Course Creator Program. This one we're really excited about because it teaches kids how to create their own online course. Now that sounds cool, kids become the teacher, but it's flexing a bazillion skills, like they're learning how to communicate through video, and then they got to edit the video and create scripts for the video. They've got to create handouts and workbooks and think about the lineage of how do I construct a course to teach someone how to knit or crochet or how to skateboard. So they're really thinking through the learning process from someone else's point of view. But all of these programs that I've mentioned are designed for classroom use, which is primarily how we distribute all of our programs across Canada, and specifically, of course, here in the Tri-Cities where we started. But we're now starting to convert these programs over into at-home programs as well.
Okay.
And those we're really excited about because there's nothing else like it. So right now we only have our Kidpreneur Accelerator program. That's what we call our solopreneur program. But why it's so cool is parents know, and you know, having kids in this age group, they will not sit down and do more homework.
It's hard with the homework we have.
Exactly.
Already.
So
if they have homework, right? Not everybody has.
Not everybody, right? But they want to sit and read a book and fill out a worksheet, right? Yeah. They want to get their hands dirty and they need to go, why am I doing this? And why is this exciting? And most importantly, they need visual engagement. So the entire course is video and audio visual guided, meaning we've got videos of kids their own age, teaching them things like what is marketing? What is market research? How to make an effective logo. So you've got the video engagement, but then anytime there's a visual, like maybe a slideshow to get them ideas about what kind of business they could start, every single slide is voice guided, like there's a teacher talking to them through the whole process. And after every module, they got to do something. Go make your prototypes, design your posters. So it's not just about sitting there reading and learning the theory of it. By the end of it, they actually launch a business, make real money, And we also host our markets all throughout Burnaby. Our last one was just at Brentwood Mall. It was a huge Biz Kids Market, over 40 kid businesses, over 50 kid entrepreneurs launching there. And those kids are making real money. There was over 12,000 people at the mall.
Wow.
So they had a lot
I
of
think
customers.
I saw this on social media,
Yeah.
right? It was beautiful, and I really liked the post. I invite everybody to go and check your social media, definitely.
Oh, thank you.
Now I'm thinking, you guys are also located in the Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
So tell me about Biz Kids Tri-Cities.
So Biz Kids, we started right in Port Moody.
Okay, so you guys are born here.
Born here.
Yes.
Started back in 2018 as a little side project, and we were offering all of our programs. And when you start as a nonprofit, you don't have much of a reputation. So you start off where for us, we charged a fee to families to take our programs that could afford it, and then we subsidized as many kids as possible who couldn't. But then COVID hit, and we were growing a lot. And then all of a sudden we were like, we need to change how we do things. And that's when we also started to realize there's a bigger impact that we were having than just teaching kids how to start a business and make some extra money. There's the mental health component. And we thought we need to make this more inclusive. Right now, it's not accessible. We are charging a fee to some families and others. We can't subsidize everybody through it. How is it that we can make this more inclusive, more accessible? What we realized is most kids who are coming from perhaps a household that's lower income, or they're from a newcomer family still getting their footwork, right? Or maybe they've got learning abilities. We didn't have facilitators on our team that necessarily could work with every child with different learning abilities. What we decided is these kids are either going to public school and or going to their local nonprofit in order to get the support that they need for their learning. So we decided to put all of our programs, we overhauled them. My background's actually franchising. So it's all about how do you create things that can be duplicatable and scalable so that anyone could pick it up and be successful. And that's what we did. And then we've empowered the educators here in the Tri-Cities and beyond to deliver these programs as a part of the BC mandated curriculum to be able to meet their objectives that they have to meet while giving kids the learning that parents want, that kids want, that the teachers even want, but they don't have the resources to give themselves. So Central Community is one of my favorite ones to bring up here in the Tri-Cities over in Port Coquitlam. It is a lower income area, and yet they had 130 students last year all get to start and launch their own business. And then a bunch of other, I think like all those kids all over again, all the grade 4-5 classes, they then did the Kid Talks public speaking program. So in 1 year, these teachers got a whole bunch of fun materials, videos, slideshows, lesson plans that guided them through this, because a lot of teachers have never started their own business, so they wouldn't know how to start with how do I teach these kids to do it, right? So now they're able to do these really cool things. It was a market day at the school that the community was able to come to. I made the mistake of coming just a half an hour after it started, and the kids had already sold out. Like the whole place was empty. It was a massive success. The kids had such a great experience. The parents loved it, the teachers loved it, and they're running them all over again this year.
Oh, that's so great.
But it's interesting about the Tri-Cities because this is where we started, and this is where debatably we had the most awareness when we started. And we grew by 15x in the last 15 months, meaning we just grew all across Canada. And what makes me sad is we need more schools in the Tri-Cities, because just myself, I went to 5 schools growing up in the Tri-Cities. And yet we're only in 2 schools and 1 public library in the Tri-Cities. And so a part of that is just funding and where the funding comes from and where it's supporting. So we're definitely looking for people who see the impact that this is having and helping us to get these resources into more hands in the schools. And then the other is just awareness. So I'm very happy to be here to share.
No, I think it's great, and specifically if we can put your beautiful work out there, and if we take care of our children in a different way, like you said, like things are different, like times are different. There's social media. There's so many components to all of this, right? And I think you're right. I think we have to address things differently now. And by teaching them to be young, to be entrepreneur, kidspreneur. I like that. I like it, right? I think that will be one of the solutions. I do believe also on attachment and on parenting. That's also very important. But what do we do with our children?
Yes.
You know? Why not build a business?
Well, it's funny you bring up the parent component. So as a part of all of these programs, we really want to bring parents into the experience as well. So we create templates that the teacher at the end of each class that they teach, they just copy and paste it and send it to the parents. And it does 3 things. First thing, lets the parent know, here's the cool stuff your kid just learned, right? Like, you know, it's like a quiet brag for the teacher to be like, yeah, they just learned about market research. Like, how cool, right? The second thing is it lets them know what do they need to bring for next class, right? Make sure they've got their prototype made, or bring a cardboard box, or whatever it is they have to bring the next class. But the third one is the most powerful one. Because as you know, when you learn in a container in school, sometimes you don't always take that learning outside into the real world and connect the dots, right? And we want kids to be able to reinforce the learning outside of the classroom and help parents during this awkward time, you know. I laugh because I've got a 4 and 8-year-old, right? And one day they love peanut butter, and then the next day they hate peanut butter, and they're so offended you did not know.
Absolutely.
I hate it. I've always hated it, right? And it's like,
And
oh my
you're
goodness.
like,
right?
I'm losing my mind.
And you ask them when they come home from school, you're like, how was school? Fine. What'd you learn? What'd you do?
Nothing.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And so we want to equip parents with different things to approach their kids with. So for example, on the first day, it'll say, hey, your kid just learned all about different kinds of businesses. When you're driving in the car, why don't you play a game of I Spy? Who can I spy a service-based business? Who can I spy a business that's trying to target kids or seniors?
Okay.
And so now you've got an actual thing that you can do that isn't just trying to create, you know, have a conversation where you're pulling teeth to get an answer out of them. You're playing a game.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing learning outside the classroom, and you're connecting with your child. So yeah, we very much believe in the parents need help and support these days too. The world moves fast and their kids are moving even faster.
Wow. So everything is done through the school. You don't have like an outside facilities, people or kids go there after school. It's with the school system. Am I right?
So when I say that we grew by 15x in 15 months, we also did that with almost 50% less resources, meaning less money, less people, less everything. COVID kind of, a lot of the grants we had relied on had really dissipated. And as a newer charity, we didn't have the momentum with donors, right? So we really had to get creative on how we run things. Now, when we used to run programs ourselves, we would have to rent a facility, and then we'd have to pay our facilitators and buy the materials. And it would cost around $3,000 to $5,000 just to run one program one time for 15 kids. Now that we're putting these in the hands of schools and libraries and nonprofits, they already have the venues, they already have the teachers and the program coordinators, they already have the basic classroom materials, and they don't have to spend any money on marketing because they already have access to the kids that need it and want it. So now we've been able to distribute this, and the programs are free for kids. They're in publicly located areas that are easy for parents to get to. We've got teachers that are equipped to work with kids with different learning abilities and different lived experiences, and nonprofits that are working with specific types like Indigenous students, newcomers, and so forth. We've got people that are able to connect with the kids in a way we never could have, and it's reduced our costs to operate significantly because of that. So it used to cost $3,000 to $5,000 to run one program one time. Now somebody can help us by supporting one community for like $2,500, and that's giving that school years of access to the program.
That's amazing. Okay, so now it's through the school with the teachers. Is it after school? It's during the school hours.
So it was really important to us that this was something that teachers were going to be able to. We were helping support them as well. So teachers have got a thankless job these days. Right? They're doing social and emotional wellness and the mandated academic learning and so much that they have on their plates. And we knew that if we gave this to them, we were like, here's something new. They'd be like, I would love to, but I don't have capacity. I've got this huge list. And here in BC, our curriculum, it's no secret. It's pretty complicated, right? We've got our curricular competencies. It's not just math and science and English anymore, right? And so we've got these snapshots that are part of every program that helps check off every curricular. It'll give them a list and says, if you run the Kid Talks public speaking program, here's all of the curricular competencies. This is going to check off your list for you. So we're actually hoping to take things off of teachers' plates.
Okay.
Not to mention, we're giving them these really fun materials when you think of these topics, even if a teacher wanted to make their own entrepreneur program, they'd be pulling videos off of YouTube and trying to find something that was for this age group. Most videos and resources out there are meant for high school at the very youngest, not for a grade 2 or 3 or 4-year-old, right?
Okay.
So our programs are now giving these teachers who maybe already were running a cool program fun to, it's like school supplies day. I don't know if you're like this as a kid, but your new school supplies, you're like, it's so fun. Like this is what teachers get to unpack, is they're getting access to all of these newfangled materials specifically designed for their mandated curriculum and their age group.
Okay. So, are you offering the curriculum, the course, in any other languages?
So it's funny you mentioned that. So right now it's only in English.
Okay.
But of course, French is something that's on the horizon. But we also want to make this very much accessible eventually at some point internationally. So there's two things that's happening in terms of the language and cultural front. The first is we just found an incredible program. All of our videos in our programs are kids. The oldest is like 14. That's a spokesperson. They're the ones teaching the kids, right? And of course, being a charity and having to be thrifty with how we spend our money, we found an incredible program that I'm hoping you'll be able to help me out with, where it's actually being able to translate all of our videos, which is the most difficult thing. You know, we can translate the written and just redo the graphics, right? But when it comes to video, that's the most costly part. And it's translating it all, not only into French, but it's using the child's voice still and dubbing it. And AI has come a long way. So we're very excited about that on the horizon. And we're looking for grants to help us to convert the whole programs over.
Okay, that's excellent.
The other is we have an incredible partnership that we've just started with another Coquitlam nonprofit called Bears Lair. So Bears Lair is an Indigenous organization. And if you've heard of Dragon's Den, you've heard of Shark's Tank, Bears Lair is the Indigenous version. And it's they also have something called Bears Lair Dream Camps. So they go into different nations all across Canada, but it's mostly saturated here in BC. And they go in there and they do these incredible dream camps that help them with mental health, prevention over intervention. They have similar values as us. They also teach them entrepreneurship, leadership. But the problem is once they leave as a camp, that's it. And so they're very excited to be partnering with us because we're going to be the leave behind to continue helping to support the elders, to allow them to be able to teach the youth on the nations. And so we're getting grants right now to be able to overhaul these programs with an Indigenous lens so that we're going to have specific programs for them as well.
Wow, so you guys going to build or offer something specific for them to continue what they're going to second step.
For sure.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so who can participate? I know you said the children, but how does that work? Is it the teacher that calls and then all the students in the class are participating? Tell me a little bit more about that.
You bet. So I'll tell you what you can do if you're a teacher and what you can do if you're a parent.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. So we've got something called the Canadian Future Ready Education Grant. That is the grant that offers these and another program all in one package, plus some extra courses for teachers, such as how to teach using a growth mindset language in the classroom and things like that. And this is all a part of a grant. That grant we're hoping to open very soon, but we're hoping to get some funding coming in because we want to give access, but we want to give extra physical materials, if that makes sense, and that costs money.
Yes.
So if you're a teacher, if you're a principal, if you're a PAC parent, if you're a regular parent, talk to your teachers and your principals and tell them about this grant. And they basically just apply. It only takes about 6 to 8 minutes on average to fill out the grant application. As long as they meet our minimum requirements of actually running and using the program, they're usually approved, and then they get access to the programs. That, though, is always contingent on our funding. And so that's that other thing. If you're a parent and you're going, I want my child to learn this, and they don't have it running at their school, there's a couple of options. The first is our Kid Entrepreneur program is already converted into our at-home program. So if you're a parent, you can go on our website. It's called our Solopreneur program. It's right now $44. It gives you access to 13 modules, and it's all fully voice and video guided, but it's a part of our one-for-one program. So if you purchase it for your child, it's going to help another child in a vulnerable community gain access as well. Then if your child, maybe they take the program and they build a business, or maybe they already have a business, They can also check out, so we're not opening up registration yet, but we're having our summer market at Lougheed Mall, and then we'll have our Christmas market again at Brentwood Mall. This is where your child, if they've got a business, they can apply to be a kid vendor. And now they can open up their business to a mall with a boatload of customers. And it's actually funny. We have a rule at Build a Biz Kids. Parents are never allowed. So what that means is, though, just
So
as
they
a
have
heads
to
up,
do their own thing.
yeah, you can have your child set up, but parents are not allowed at their child's booths.
So what do you also you kind of have to look from far. How's that work? You know,
Exactly.
little Jimmy, how you doing? I have time, you know.
It's funny. Yeah, because parents will come up to us afterwards and be like, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. They're like, but they blew me away. It's almost like a dance recital at the end of the year. You don't realize how impressive they are until you get out of the dance room and you just let them shine on stage, right? And so kids, when they know their parent is there, for one, they feel nervous, but also we unintentionally rob them of opportunities to fend for themselves. And so when they're making change, the parent will be like, yeah, it's 50 cents back or whatever, right? Or a customer will come up and they'll be like, say hi, say something to them, right? And so we think we're helping, but then, as soon as you leave them alone, the kids will stumble the first couple of times and then they flourish.
Okay. And how old was the youngest participant that you had for one of those markets?
I think we've had as young as 6.
Okay.
We usually say 7, and that's because the kids are needing to stand on their own all day. We have a lot of volunteers. We call them mentors. And those are the people who, if the kids need help, if they have a question, we're there to give them a high five and to mentor them in a productive way. The reason our programs are kind of for 7 to 13, 14-year-olds is we've had many even 5-year-olds take the programs. It's just because there is a bit of reading or writing component. We usually say around grade 2 is where the kids' confidence is there enough to be able to make their own marketing poster and to answer questions.
That's excellent. Yeah. I have a 6 and an 8-year-old. So, and we actually, every summer, we like to have a little business every year. So it's kind of funny you saying this, and it's kind of resonating with me. The first year was kind of funny. We actually made some magic sticks. So we took sticks and we decorated them.
Oh, yeah.
And my kids sold for $250 worth of magic sticks.
Amazing.
And then the second year we did friendship bracelets. But they created it, they make it. But I basically did the framework a little bit for them and help them, but I think they would love that. They would just love it. What's
so cool is the kids do get a syndrome. It's called being parent deaf. And so, if ever your child, you give your kid certain kind of advice, right? And you tell them, do this, and then they don't listen. But then one day they come home and they're like, guess what, Mom? Guess what my coach just told me? Or guess what my teacher? And you're like, that's what I've been telling you for years.
Okay, yes.
So it's like, this is that outside voice, if you will, but also it's really important. All of the examples in our program, so if it shows let's learn about packaging or table display, every example is of a business from a kid. Now I will say this though, if you come to our markets, they will blow you away. And I dare say, I am confident enough to say that our booths often, when you look at the ratio of the kids, they look just as good or better than when I go to the local farmer's market. They put so much time and effort and pride into it. And it's not that adults don't, it's just that's how upscale they get. We actually had someone on a comment card being like, it looks like there's a lot of commercially produced things. And I'm like, no, the kids made everything.
Wow, that's a compliment, right?
Yeah, it's just packaged beautifully, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when kids register to become a kid vendor at the market, we do get them to submit things. So I will say not everyone gets approved. Sometimes because crochet is a big thing, we had to turn away 5 crochet people because we already had 5 crochet tables.
Okay.
It's a product category.
It's true. I've seen a lot of crochet lately at markets.
It's a big thing, yeah.
Here, yes.
And other times is if they just aren't quite there yet, we don't want kids to get defeated their first time out. But one thing we do provide to all of our vendors is they get a couple of workshops that they can watch at home. And it helps them to think about new ways that are inexpensive, that they can up-level their table display, that they can up-level their packaging, that they can hone in on what is the perfect price. Sometimes kids come in and they're like, I'm going to sell everything for $20. And it's like, That's a little high. You're not going to sell as much, right?
It's almost looking at it from the eye of the accountant. It's easy, raise the price.
Just raise the
And then,
price.
looking inside on the vendor side, it's
How
like,
much
well,
do I
nobody's
need
going to
for a
buy
new
it if you raise the
PlayStation?
price, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I totally get it. Yeah.
But we teach them about how they can have pricing on their table that they can change throughout the day. And they learn so much.
So they evaluate, okay, nobody's buying, maybe that's too expensive, maybe I need to do this. So you
we have
walk them
two
through.
rules that we want them to embrace. One is there's no one right answer to literally everything. Even 1 + 1, talk to a philosopher and it's not 2, right? Like there's multiple answers to everything.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The second is you're never done. And when you realize you're never done, it actually can alleviate some pressure to be perfect, right? Because you can have 2 kids selling crochet and they will have completely different things and target audiences and products that will appeal to different people, different price ranges. How their display looks, their colors, right? It can all differ. And because of that, some kids can charge more, some kids can charge less. For some kids, it takes them 2 hours longer to finish a piece than others. And so they can take all those things into consideration. But because they're surrounded by their peers and they know everyone made their own decisions, it's amazing where even if a child's feeling discouraged at the beginning of the day, it only ever takes one sale. And I remember at last summer's market, there was a gal, she was selling knitted headbands, which wasn't the greatest product during a summer market to have knitted headbands, right? But she was feeling a little discouraged. And so our mentors were talking to her, but then she sold something. And once she did, she started to get a boost of confidence and she started looking around. And by the end of the market, this girl was walking around with headbands going, I've got the perfect color of headband that would match your shirt perfectly. And she was hustling the whole show. Her confidence just like grew.
Great. Yeah.
So it's always a process for many of them. Some of them, we had one kid as well, Wyatt, he had 3D printed stuff. And it was his first market that he had ever been to last summer. Since then, I think he's done probably 15 markets. And on average, he's making about $1,000 a market now. So just that one market opened his eyes to the possibilities. And now he is just like going for it. Yeah.
So I know you touched on mental health, but what is the impact of Build to Biz Kids on the Tri-Cities?
Goodness, we've been able to have a few really cool impacts. I guess the first one I mentioned, Central Community Elementary School. We have a great video on our website of the teachers who we interviewed at the end of their first market day they'd ever had and ever run. And that's kind of hearing it from the horse's mouth on the resources that teachers are getting. This is helping the kids, but it's helping the teachers as well. And because it wasn't just one teacher running the program, all the grade 4 or 5 teachers rallied together to do it. And they invited the community into the experience. Like we had some of the city councilors and school board trustees, and they had attended that market to see it up close. I think that's a big impact because sometimes kids are kind of siloed in this, don't come on school campus and we're protecting them and they're here to learn and don't distract them. And it's like when we bring the community in, and we let them flex those real world experiences, that's a really significant impact, not just for the kids, but for the community as well, right? The other is Coquitlam Library has been fantastic. In fact, I think they're probably getting tired of people calling because they're the only nonprofit library public entity that's on our website that people are like, where's your program? And they can't go to Central or they can't go to Parkland. We're also at Parkland Elementary. And they can't go there unless their students are registered. So they're calling Coquitlam Library constantly being like, when are you running the next program? So we're hoping that they're going to be able to run more and more programs. But they've been great to us because we've been able to pilot all of our programs after they've been written and tested there. The last thing I would mention is it's things that are happening outside of the Tri-Cities, but with Tri-City kids. So we've been getting invited to some really cool experiences. And I have to mention Angelica. So Angelica, she did the Port Coquitlam Community Day that they had there, and she set up her own booth, and she's been at all of our markets that we've had. Okay. She's incredible. She's only about 9 or 10, she's really young. I went to the Tri-Cities Chamber of Commerce showcase that they had, the business showcase, and there she is with her parents walking around. I'm like, what? She's like the only kid coming to the Tri-Cities Chamber of Commerce showcase, right?
Yeah.
And so she was definitely hand selected. So we were invited, where if you've heard of Dragon's Den, local hero, Brian Scudamore. He started 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Buy One Day Painting, Shack Shine. They all hover under O2E brands. And we got to select a handful of Biz Kids to go to his head office where they got to meet a dragon, pitch to the dragon, get a tour of O2E brands, which is an incredible office if you've never seen it.
No.
And then they got to ask him a question about how to grow their business. Now that was awesome. Angelica got to participate, so we had someone from the Tri-Cities there, but I'm really excited because we've got another experience. I won't share the kids that are coming yet, but we have some from the Tri-Cities where Thinkific, a very large tech company that was founded here in Vancouver, they heard what we did with Brian and they were like, can we do that too? And so at the beginning of February, we've got another selection of kids who are going to get to go to a tech company and they create online courses. So we actually teach kids how to create their own online course using Thinkific. And so because of that, they're excited that all these kids are going to learn how to use their software, and they've invited them to come out. They're going to inspire the kids to learn you can make money, not just by making your product and selling it, but teaching people how to crochet or how to, do what you do.
Yes, because that's another level now.
It is.
If you niche into something, you can do a series of video and sell this as a program, so people can learn your passion or where you're really good, where you're really good at. Yeah, I can see that how it's a new market now. It's very popular out there.
What I would say is today, if ever there was something that kids have that we didn't when we were growing up, is you can literally love anything and make millions of dollars at it. And I use the example of paper airplanes. If you love paper airplanes, you can have a YouTube channel and an Instagram and a TikTok, well, not so much TikTok anymore, teaching people how to make different kinds of paper airplanes. And those videos get millions of views, right? Because people got to watch them on repeat and how to fold.
Oh, yes.
I want the fast ones. I want the loop-to-loop ones. I want the, the ones that go a distance. And you can make a lot of money just on that. But then if you wanted, you could create mega events around it, like a Red Bull event where instead of extreme sports, you're getting sponsors and now it's like paper airplane extravaganzas. And then you can have a little convention like they do for comic books and stuff where people are coming out. You can do so much with whatever it is that you love, right? So sky's the limit for kids these days, but the biggest thing is we have to give them that perspective. And I know for myself, when I grew up, I mentioned I went to 5 schools in the Tri-Cities, but I actually changed schools 10 times growing up.
Oh, wow.
I was not a great kid. I was a very angry kid, and I definitely had a lot of mental health challenges. But because when I was about 10, my brother and I, he was a year older than me, and these were the days where your kids would go on the bus earlier than we would ever let kids go today. And we would, if it wasn't nailed down in the house, we were taking it to a flea market and selling it. And I started building big dreams about what I wanted to do and as a young kid, but then I became a teenager and I became angry and I was doing all kinds of stuff I shouldn't mention that I was doing that were real bad, right? And when I kind of hit that point where I'd fallen behind, I wasn't going to graduate on time, I reflected back and I was like, what is happening? Like I can pinpoint the exact moment. And I was like, but you already know you're capable. You're more capable at 10 years old than you're being capable of now. And I 180'd and I took extra programs, got 2 jobs, graduated on time, and then kind of never looked back. And it was because I had that previous perspective to be able to reflect back on and say, the world is so much bigger than this little bubble I'm living in right now. And if I just allow myself to explore it, like I can really create anything that I want.
Wow, amazing. So one more question before I let you go.
Yeah.
What is the future and what's the hope for Biz Kids?
So I mentioned that we 50Next in 15 months with like 50% less of our funding and capacity. We have got such a strong focus of exactly what we want to do and how we can keep the momentum going. And so I want to 10x the number of communities that we're in across Canada by the end of 2026. And so that means having 500 communities across Canada. We have 60 elementary and middle schools here just in School District 43. I need us to be in at least 50% of them because there's no reason not to. Right? The teachers will be on board. It's really just finding the community and the funding to be able to help us reach these kids, to go into these schools and to give them these free resources and curriculum and parent communication, all these things every kid deserves. So that's what we're needing, and that's where we're going, and I'm really excited about it.
So are you guys accepting donations?
Yes.
Or I know it through the schools, I guess there's nobody that can go and help. What else can the community do for you?
You know, we get asked all the time, why don't you ask the schools to just pay for it, right? And for me, while they do have budgets, I want them to use them on food programs and, you know, other experiences for the kids that are super important, allowing them to get more technology for the classrooms and things like that. I know we have School District 43 Foundation, so we are trying to work with them to see if they can help us with this. But for donating, you can donate right on our website. There's a nice big button at the top of the page. Okay. But if you want to, like, donate what you can, and we're so appreciative of it. If you have a child, you can purchase the 1-for-1 program of the at-home solo entrepreneur program. That helps us. Every little bit helps.
And when you do this, you can get to the market even though you're not through the school. Am I understanding right?
Oh, yeah. And just Perfect. So you know, too, even if your child has never heard of Biz Kids before, they can still apply to be a kid vendor. And in fact, many of our kids at the markets have never been through a Biz Kids program.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, if your child's run lemonade stands, and they've only run lemonade stands, and they want to take a first try at something else, I do recommend having, if not our program, something or a mentor to help them, because the kids at this level are now, they've stepped up, you know, and so That's there is amazing. Some hefty competition. Yeah.
So what is your website?
So it's buildbizkids.com. And I just wanted to mention as well, if your organization or, you know, if you're with an organization that offers grants or some sort of community program and they want to support an entire community or an entire school, like we just actually had SD43 Continuing Ed, Coquitlam Continuing Ed, they're the ones who sponsored Parkland Elementary.
Okay.
So that's how they got access. Port Coquitlam Foundation, they're the reason that Central Community has access to these programs. So if you're affiliated with any of those types of organizations, or if your company wants to support kids where you live, work, and play, you can also reach out to us. And we call it our donor partner program. And that's where, you know, we can talk a little bit different numbers.
Excellent. And everything's on the website.
All of it's on the website.
Thank you so much, Leah. It was a pleasure to have you here. And I'm hoping for maybe a French program soon, you know?
Yeah.
My kids go to l'École des Pionniers, the French school, so that would be fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much.
From the Tri-Cities Community Television and myself, Genevieve Kyle-Lefebvre, thank you for joining us today.